When the latest episode of this crazy rivalry ended, Utah State players sprinted off the sideline toward the north end zone, where they grabbed the Old Wagon Wheel. Score that successful mission is the Aggies' 8th takeaway of the night. This game changed for good when a pass thrown by BYU's fill-in quarterback, who soon would exit with an injury of his own, bounced off the back of a Utah State linebacker. Aggie cornerback Jalen Davis grabbed the first of his 3 interceptions and scored the first of his 2 touchdowns. If anyone wondered what else could possibly happen when these teams got together, the answers kept coming Friday night at Maverick Stadium. Utah State's 40-24 victory came with the usual plot twist of quarterbacking misadventures in wild sequences. BYU's mild offensive revival came at a cost in multiple ways. The Cougars, 1-4, lost quarterback Bo Hogue to a second-quarter injury after his 2 touchdown passes helped BYU top the 20-point mark for the first time this season. And the Cougars' 24 points were not nearly enough, considering Davis produced 14 points. After his second score, Davis was flagged for a throat-slashing gesture that was appropriately punished and should not be glorified. The punctuation, though, that part is inescapable. In the end, the Aggie offense stopped refusing to capitalize on the defense's 7 takeaways and 3 fourth-down stops long enough to score a critical touchdown via quarterback Hentmeyer's 19-yard run early in the fourth quarter. Thanks partly to Davis, the Aggies, 3-2, converted a modest 288 offensive yards into 40 points. It's a unique rivalry, and there are crazy things that happen, said USU coach Matt Wells. There's no overlooking how BYU's season is crumbling after an 0-4 September and the loss of another quarterback after Hogue left in the second quarter with the Cougars leading 21-14. But that storyline disregards the role of USU's defense in forcing a bunch of BYU's mistakes and the value of the victory to the Aggies. We just pride ourselves in forcing turnovers, said Davis, whose group produced only 10 takeaways in the entire 2016 season. The Cougars and Aggies always make it interesting, that's for sure. Friday's first-half craziness included a pick-6 for each team and another quarterbacking injury for the 4th time in 5 seasons in this rivalry. BYU lost Taysom Hill against the Aggies in 2012, 14, and 16. USU lost Chucky Keaton against the Cougars in 13. The only time both teams' starters stayed healthy was in 2015. BYU's Tanner Mangum survived that day, but he didn't dress Friday. Hogue left in the second quarter after being hit on a keeper play. He threw 2 touchdown passes just before Davis returned an interception 30 yards for a USU score when the Aggies trailed 21-7. Third-string QB Coy Detmer Jr., a nephew of BYU offensive coordinator Ty Detmer, took over and produced only 3 points. The Aggies deserve full credit for this win, and they needed it. Since an October 2015 rout of Boise State on a Friday night, Wells' record was 7-15. This sure looked like a job-extending performance, with the Aggies' follow-through becoming important now. 3 more wins, Wyatt Wells, the coach's young son, reminded his father. He knows what bowl eligibility is, Matt Wells said. USU overcame the Cougars in the Lavelle Edwards Bowl, likely the first game in college football history, when both teams memorialized the same person. The Aggies' helmet stickers, in tribute to the USU graduate, rose above the Cougars' uniform patches, honoring BYU's legendary coach. BYU's fans made Edwards famous, but he was a defensive guy at heart. He would have appreciated USU's defense, the group that made the music play Friday night. The Aggies lingered on the field as the loudspeakers blasted Darius Rucker's Wagon Wheel. It sounded good to Wells, who labeled the victory a long time coming.